and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, make sure you stick around because I really have no idea what I'm going to talk about. This week, I am stumped, to be quite honest. I tried a little true crime 2 weeks ago. Crickets. There was literally crickets out there, so I don't know if you guys are all on vacation and nobody was out to listen, or you just don't like that kind of content from me. Because I also haven't gotten any feedback. So, unless you guys tell me, I really don't know. So that's why I'm stumped this week. I think my best bet is to stick to what I know, what I truly know deep down and have most of my experience with, and that's the paranormal. So, let's jump back on that train. If you're interested, stick around. If not, see you later. I hope you stick around. From Cape Breton, it's Saturday night. Okay, so this week, I think I want to just stick to a few little stories. I really would love to hear your stories. So, if you want to send them to me, I will put them out on the air. The email is F as in Frank, C as in Charlie, B as in Bravo. It's Saturday night at gmail.com. I'll link it in the show notes or in the video description, however you're listening to or seeing this podcast. Okay, some short stories from my childhood that you might find a little weird or interesting. I have two actually. One is about a skeleton, and one is about a Ouija board. So let's dive into the skeleton story first. Picture this, 1982. Yeah, I'm going to date myself absolutely perfectly here. If you know anything about math and subtraction and addition, you'll know I'm 47. So 1982, I'm 7 years old. And I am asleep in my bed. This little girl asleep in her room. And I hear these footsteps coming up our stairs. And so I kind of wake up. And I'm thinking, oh, that must be either my mom or my dad coming to check on me. You know how parents do that to their young kids. And my parents often did that. My parents were young parents, so they often checked on the kids. Anywho, I then hear my door creak open and somebody come into my room, and I felt the depression of somebody sit down on my bed. I'm not opening my eyes. I'm kind of like just laying there, not pretending to be asleep, but still kind of in that like hazy, sleepy state. So I'm not opening my eyes or turning or anything like that. But I feel somebody sit on the bed and start rubbing my back. And I'm thinking, oh, it must be my mom or my dad for sure. And because that was kind of a normal thing to comfort the child. Like if I was upset, I wasn't. I was sleeping. So there was no need, and I mean, unless I was like crying out in my sleep, but I fully remember this, so I don't think that's the case. And I feel the rubbing on my back. Very soothing, very affectionate, nothing gross about it, nothing creepy about it, just like a parent, just rubbing the back of their child. And so I turn my head, and I look. And it's neither of my parents. It's not human at all. Well, I guess it's made of a human bone structure, because it was a full adult-sized skeleton sitting on my bed. When I tell you how absolutely freaking terrified I was. I pulled the covers up over my head, turned my head back around, cradled in the fetal position, and rocking, saying to myself, please go away, please go away, please go away, please go away. And I stayed there rocking. It felt like forever, but it must have only been a minute or so. And then I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. Nothing like that. Not like hearing it walk up the stairs, open the door, sit on the bed. None of that in reverse. I felt that it was gone. So I creeped my head out of the covers and I peek my eyes open, and it's not there. There's nothing in my room. It's dark again. So I hightail it out of my bed. I run across the hall and I run into my parents' room. My parents are both asleep in their bed. And I go to wake up my mom. So I'm on my mom's side of the bed and I'm shaking her awake. Mommy, 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 mommy. And she wakes up and I tell her there was a skeleton sitting on my bed. And she says to me, oh honey, that's just make-believe. It's okay, go back to bed. And being hysterical, traumatized, a 7-year-old at that, I say back to her, and guys, I remember this like it was yesterday, and it was 40 years ago. But I said to her, Mommy, it wasn't made of make-believes. It was real. And she kind of chuckled and said, okay, go back to bed. There was no way I was going back in my room. Are you kidding me? Not after that. So my parents had a rule. Kids were not allowed to sleep in the bed. Not allowed to sleep in the parents' bed. So I refused. I was not going back to my room. So I laid down on the floor beside my mother's side of the bed, pushing myself kind of in under the bed, pulled the comforter that was hanging down to the floor over me so nothing could see me, and that's where I slept the rest of the night. I was terrified. And that still gives me the willies. But do you know what's the craziest part of that whole story? Actually, the absolute most frigged up part of that whole story is the next morning. So the next morning, me and my 5-year-old brother, so I'm 7, he's 5, we're sitting at the breakfast table the next morning. And my brother and I were very close. And I say to my brother, hey, I had the weirdest dream last night. Because, guys, at this time, I'm kind of convincing myself I was asleep. This was a dream. It was make-believe, like Mom said. I just made it up in my head. There's no truth to it, but it's kind of cool. So I'm going to tell my little brother about it. So I say to him, I had the craziest dream last night, brother. And he looks at me with his big blue eyes and he says, oh yeah? Me too, sis. And I'm like, what? You know, we were close kids. We were friends. We played a lot. We fought a lot. But we played a lot together, and we didn't normally sit down and talk about our dreams. We weren't woo-woo children. You know, we weren't hippie children. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I totally actually wish I was. But we weren't. So this was kind of weird. That he says, yeah, he had a crazy dream too. So I then say to him, okay, well, tell me about yours. And he proceeds to tell me that he dreamt of footsteps coming up the stairs. His door opening, something sitting on his bed and started rubbing his back. And when he turned to look, it was a skeleton. I think my jaw hits the floor, and I realized, even at 7 years old, I realized, oh my God, there's no way we had the same dream at the same time. Something happened. I don't know to this day what that was, but something came to both of us that night in 1982. Whew. Well, how'd you like that one, guys? That's a little creepy anecdote from my childhood. I hope you enjoyed it. The next one's a lot creepier from my adolescent time. It involves a Ouija board. Let me get a drink first. If you're not having a drink with me, shame on you. Go grab yourself a beverage of your choice, whether it's a mocktail or a cocktail, and join me for this next story. Okay, so we're now into my preteen and teen years, and early adulthood too. This carries on many, many years. I think I was grade 4, maybe grade 5. So that would have made me about 10, 11 years old when my brother and I were gifted for Christmas a Ouija board by a family friend, not by my parents. But my parents were very liberal and open-minded, enlightened people, and they really taught us to take everything with a grain of salt, and it's for entertainment purposes only, and we're not to overly play with it, and we're to respect it. But they did allow us to play with it. Hindsight, that was probably not the smartest idea. But you live and learn. This is, again, the early 80s. Early to mid 80s, actually. So I take this Ouija board to school. I'm playing with it with my friends. The school's not too happy about it. So I'm not allowed to do that anymore. But I'm still taking it to my friend's house and we're playing with it. Now, we're not doing anything crazy. We're not promising anything. We're not talking or saying weird stuff, and if something weird comes through, we're shutting it down. We're actually saying goodbye and shutting it down. So, looking back on it, hindsight, I think I did pretty good for a young person using it, not really knowing what I was doing or what I was utilizing, what kind of tool it was. But then I kind of put it away for a long time. It really did creep me out. So I highly respected it, and I was scared of it. And I think that was healthy. So I put it away for many years, and I'm not really playing with it. I don't really touch it. And when I say don't really, I mean I touch the box to move it around when I'm reorganizing my closet, but that was pretty much it. Until I'm about 19, 18, something like that. And then a bunch of us are hanging out and we're having some drinks. And I say, oh hey, I have a Ouija board. Let's get it and let's play. So a few friends and I are playing with it, and it's saying some really nasty stuff. Like, I can't remember the exact details of exactly what it spelled out, but some of the stuff made no sense. Looking back and kind of remembering some of the gibberish, it may have been Latin, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not going to say that that's the case, but it was definitely, in our eyes, a language we didn't understand. Therefore, it was just it was nothing to us. But it still was creepy. We knew it wasn't right. Pardon me. So we shut the sucker down each and every time it started that. And we cleansed the place, and we lit white candles, and we did all the things I think we were supposed to do to keep anything at bay. But there was one day that it was saying some really nasty shit. I mean, like, people dying and stuff, like, gross stuff. And I had enough. So, I did something I maybe shouldn't have done. And I grabbed the nearest thing to me, instinctively, and placed it on the planchette. Right on top of the board. Right on the planchette. And that was the Bible. And immediately, as soon as I placed that Bible down, the board just stopped. It was moving on its own and everything. I mean, we were barely touching that thing. I think at one point we actually all lifted our hands and the thing was still moving. So I placed the Bible down. It stopped moving. It's like not going to move for us anymore. I take the Bible off. We try again. It's not moving at all. It's like dead. Or pissed. One or the other. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I broke the board with the Bible. And I'm kind of laughing at it. And I put it back in the box and I put it away. But it really feels off. Like my gut is saying, get this thing out of your house. Like, do not keep this thing. So I decide that I'm going to gift it to a friend of mine. And I know, guys, I know what you're thinking. If I thought it was so evil and bad, what kind of friend was I to gift it to another person? I get ya. I hear ya. But that was the kind of friend I was. I just wanted it out of my space, and I didn't care who took it. Somebody volunteered, so I gave it. And this thing, this board, I gave it away. I'm going to harp on that for the next 5 seconds. I gave the board, planchette, board, in the box, gave it all away. Months later, if not a year later, like it was a long time, my mother's cleaning our living room, and she moves the sofa to like sweep and vacuum or whatever under the sofa. And she yells to me, "Hey, what the hell is your Ouija board doing under the living room sofa?" Say what? What? No. So I go running into the living room. I'm dumbfounded. I'm staring at this Ouija board box. I open it up. There's the damn thing. The whole thing's in the box, like as if I never gave it away. And I am stunned. I call a mutual friend to the friend I gave it to. And I say, I gave that Ouija board to so-and-so, right? And they're like, yeah. Like a while ago. Why? I'm like, because it's in my goddamn house? No. Okay. So I say to this said friend, not the one I gave the board to, but the one I called, you need to come over here and help me get rid of this thing. So they come over, we take it, and we actually break the board in half and put it in a dumpster. We rip the cardboard box, put it in another dumpster. Then the actual planchette, broke it in many pieces and put it in yet another dumpster. I'm telling you, we broke this thing up and placed it in multiple dumpsters in our city. Months later, I'm cleaning out the linen closet in our television room. That's what we called it here, our TV room. And we had a nice deep linen closet, held all the bed linens and towels, held board games, and held all kinds of like storage things. Like it was a pretty deep closet. It had a door, but you didn't walk in it. It wasn't a walk-in or anything. It had a man door that you opened with a handle, and then there was shelving. And every few months, or at least once a year, it was one of our chores. So one person got the chore to actually take everything out, clean the shelves, organize it, and put everything back. So at this point, that's my turn to do this closet. So I'm hauling everything out, and right in the back, on the second last shelf, is the Ouija board. Did you hear me? The Ouija board is back? How? How is this possible? We broke that thing in multiple pieces, threw it in multiple dumpsters. How? How is it back in my house? I opened the box reluctantly, very terrified, but I opened the box. It's in there. It's intact. So I called my friend that we did this, and I say, we destroyed that board, right? They're like, yeah? Why? Again, I say, it's back. It's like a stupid horror film that you'd watch on TV or whatever. Like, it just won't go away. It's not doing anything to me. It's not, like, I'm not possessed by it. I don't feel negative energy by it. Well, negative energy around me. I feel it by the board, for sure. But not around me. It's like the board is attached to me in some way, or needs to be with me. So this friend that I called the first time we destroyed the board, called them the second time, verified we destroyed the board and the planchette, said, you need to come, let's take this and let's really destroy it. Like, let's get rid of this thing. Let's do it right this time. So now we took the board in the box, we just threw that away. We didn't even bother breaking it, we just threw it away. The planchette, however, my gut was it needed to burn. We needed to burn it. So we broke it in pieces and we just seared it. We didn't burn the whole thing. And I mean, you're burning plastic. That's kind of gross. But we seared it. So it was like sealing the edges of the burn so it couldn't be adhered together again. And you're kind of burning whatever it is out of it. At least that's how we felt and that's how we looked at it. It must have worked, because I promise you that Ouija board has never returned since. But that was twice. Gave it away the first time, came back. Destroyed it the second time, came back. Finally burnt the planchette. It hasn't returned. I did buy another Ouija board years and years and years after this. Used it a few times. Gave it away. Nothing bad ever came through it. But I did give it away, or I can't even remember what I did with it. But I got it out of my possession because I didn't want it anymore. And that one never came back to me. And I have never bought another one, nor have I ever been gifted another one. Do I like them? I think they're cool looking. I like the idea of them. Do I trust them? No. Would I use one? Possibly, depending on the situation and the people I'm around. Would I own one that is active or in use? 100%? No. Not after the first one that kept coming back. No. Because that really tainted my experience. I mean, Ouija boards, there's a lot of stories about Ouija boards. God, there's movies about Ouija boards. Do you guys have any stories? I bet you do. I bet you have stories that even top mine. Tell me. share with me. Email me. Well, there are two of my stories, guys. I really do want to hear from you. If you want, you can send your stories privately to the email. If you want to be left anonymous, feel free to let me know that, and I will not share your details. But I guess that's it for me this week. It's short, it's sweet, and I hope you enjoyed these two paranormal kind of stories from my childhood. Until next week, guys, take care.